And when you hear the bugle call, the klaxon sound, the cannonball, the sun will rise and the sun will fall. So when today is done, bring tomorrow on.
Hello, everyone. It's already 9:47. So thank you everyone for being here. My name is Isabel Chen, and I will be your room host for this breakout session. And you are in the session titled Note to Self, Interpersonal Communication for Success, presented by Patrick Barton. And this session will be recorded. So I'm going to read to you, introduce to you the presenter. Patrick Barton is a professor of communication studies at Lone Star College Sci-Fair and also serves as faculty fellow for the Learning, Engagement, and Development Center. After faltering early in his academic year and spending nearly a decade in the workforce, he returned to earn his bachelor's degree from George Mason University and his master's degree from Kansas State University. In 2015, Patrick did a TEDx talk about choice management, which spawned a series of workshops on choosing productivity. In 2022, he was an altruistic kidney donor and continues to advocate to others to become a living donor. In his spare time, Patrick is a long-distance runner, an amateur actor, and a recreational poker player. In the session, I will monitor the chat. So please, during the presentation, please feel free to drop your question to the chat box or any comments, and we will get to your question. So without further ado, Patrick, take it away.
All right. Thank you, Isabel. Hello, everybody. Glad you're here today. I believe you all can see my screen. Yeah, I believe you can. Excellent. Um, as Isabel mentioned, I am a long distance runner, so I want to show you a short video of what was one of the hardest physical days of my life. It's very short, so I'll show you this and give you a little context after that. Hopefully the audio is going to come through. Trying to figure out how to get the audio. Let me just check something here on audio. Let's see. Select a microphone. Leave computer audio. What does that mean? Audio settings. Sorry. Um, let's see. Well, if it doesn't work, that's okay. I think the video, I just trying to see. Use separate audio to play right now. Audio. Are there any experts in here who can tell me how to get this to play my computer audio? Uh, if not, I'll just play the audio and I'll fill in if you can't hear it. Hopefully you'll be able to hear it though. Oops. Okay.
Video? Yeah. Hi. What mile are you on?
Can you hear that? Can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear that? You can't. Okay, cool. I will narrate it for you then. I will just say what's happening. I have a friend off camera recording this. So here's I'll just repeat exactly what is being said. So
Video? Yeah. Hi.
she asks, "What mile are you on?"
Wow.
I said, "I don't know."
I'll guess.
And she says,
45.
I guess 45,
44.
44, 45.
So here.
Say it's so hard.
Less than a 10K.
But she says less than a 10K.
See where you are. Oh yeah, look at that.
Look how fast I'm running, y'all. She's literally walking beside me. She's not running. She's walking, recording this. That's how slow I'm running. To put this into perspective, this is a 50-mile run. It was on April 4th of last year, and it was a mile 45-ish of 50 miles. And I had hit a wall and I had said, you know what? I just don't want to do this anymore. I'm done. I am done with this. Now, I don't know if any of you were able to attend a very similar talk I did last, I believe it was actually last April. So it was a little less than a year ago. Very similar talk to this. And I actually talked about this particular race during that talk. And I talked about this race because I was really worried about, like, I'd never run. The longest I ever run was a 50 kilometer, which is 31 miles, and I was going to jump from 31 miles to 50 miles in a month. So, and I'd only done a marathon for the first time in January. So in January I did a marathon for the first time, and then I did 50K a month later, and then a month later I was trying to do 50 miles. Very, very quick progression. All this is going to make sense soon because I'm going to explain, how I go from this to where I get to in the end. So this is note to self, intrapersonal communication for success. Notice I highlight intra because we don't usually talk about intrapersonal communication. We usually talk about interpersonal, meaning communication between people, between me and another person. That's interpersonal. Intrapersonal is communication within ourselves. So what I want to do today is talk about some introduction and goal setting, accountability planning, methods of intrapersonal communication, starting the plan and wrapping up. Uh, Isabel already told you a little bit about me, but again, I'm a professor of speech communication at Lone Star Sci-Fair since 2010. I am currently a Learning Engagement Development Faculty Fellow as well as a dual credit faculty fellow. The Learning Engagement Development just means that I produce professional development for people, basically. I've previously been a department chair, a lead faculty, and a faculty senate president. Before this, I was at the College of Southern Nevada, where I'd started as an adjunct. So I've also been in that area. Before that, I sold cars. I was a movie theater usher. I delivered pizzas. I was a waiter. I was a video store clerk. I even worked for Cirque du Soleil for a while. Not enough time to go through all those, but I did a lot of stuff. I was a college dropout at the age of 21. And as Isabel mentioned, I didn't go back for about 10 years. Finally got my bachelor's at George Mason when I was in my 30s. So the choices I made in my 20s really defined my path as I went through. Something I relate to my students as well, because I know a lot of my students are struggling, whether they're 18 or 19 or whether they're returning back at 20, 30, or 40. I'm dealing with students who were in a similar boat to me at times. By the way, this workshop is an extension of a TEDx talk that I did back in 2016, I believe, 2015, 2016. Almost 10 years. Wow. If you want to watch that TEDx talk, you can just Google Patrick Barton TEDx and you'll find the video on YouTube of that. It's about 10 minutes long, but I'm pretty proud of that. And it's all about time management and how we can restructure time management. But today we're going to talk about change. And this actually goes, I think, really well with our keynote earlier today. A lot of this is going to go flow really well with that. Hopefully you'll enjoy this. If you would put down in the chat, and by the way, thank you all for putting where you're coming from. I see a lot of people from, if you see people from Sci-Fair, I got some Sam Houston, I got San Jacinto. So thank you for putting where you're from. If you haven't put where you're from, I would love to see in the chat where you're from, what college you're from, what your role is at that college is really nice to know. But now I'd also like to see in the chat, what would you like to change about your current circumstances, either professional or personal? It could be a small change. It could be a big change. I just like to know if you're comfortable putting that in the chat. What would you like to change about something where you are? I'm going to share with you while you're writing yours. I'm going to share what I would like to change. I have recently, if I say recently, I mean literally this week, I just moved from a fairly decent sized house into a small apartment. And as I was moving, I've lived in this house for 13 years, and I was packing stuff up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, all this stuff that I don't need, I was keeping. And so the thing I would like to change is I want to have less stuff in my life, stuff that I never touched for 10 plus years. I'm like, why do I have this? I'm not touching it for 10 plus years. So that's one thing I would like to change for myself. That's a personal thing. Also, you can't see my office, but my office also reflects that as well. So I would like to change that my personal and professional life. So some things that we have in the chat here as you've been doing this. We have salary commensurate with value to organization, more self-confidence, getting rid of some self-doubt, learning how to speak up around for yourself around your kiddos. Okay, cool. I like that. These are some good ones. Getting better at saving. Good. I appreciate that. By the way, thank you for continuing to put in where you're from. Del Mar College, Prairie View. Awesome. North Carolina. Wow. Awesome. All over. Love it. Love it. I used to live in North Carolina, by the way. So I was in Raleigh. I was in Statesville. I was in Concord, Charlotte. I was all over North Carolina. Going back to school to get your degree. Excellent. Speaking up for yourself, setting boundaries. Excellent. Keep putting them in there. I'm going to keep going on here as you're writing in those. And I want you to imagine a road trip. If you don't want to be where you are, what do? You go somewhere else. You drive somewhere else. Whoops. Um, so it sounds simple enough, but it's not always simple, right? It depends on the road trip. If you're just driving to the next town over, you don't have to do a lot of planning. But if you are planning a trip across the country, gosh, you need to really make some good plans along the way. So a lot of planning does need to happen. So I want to talk about accountability planning. Um, Another new question in the chat. I know you're still writing your last question, so I'm going to keep you very active in the chat today. What does accountability mean to you? What does accountability mean? Because that's what I want to talk about for a moment is accountability. What does that mean to you? Showing up. Yeah, thank you, Wendy. Um, let's see. What else is accountability? Dependable, following through, owning up for your actions. Yeah. Doing what you say you will. Absolutely. Holding yourself responsible. Wonderful answers. These are great. Thank you so much. This is a very active group, and I love that. I really appreciate you. I appreciate those who are able to have your cameras on too, because it is much easier to talk to people's faces. So I appreciate you being able to have your cameras on if you're able to. I know earlier I wasn't able to because I was actually from my commuting from my new apartment, so I was on my phone. So I was like, oh, I'm not used to that commute yet. Holding others accountable, taking ownership, doing the job required, but also being accessible to others. Yeah, these are all great. I think this is good stuff, and we want to think about accountability as we go forward. Next, what happens when there is a lack of accountability? So, new question in the chat. What happens when there is a lack of accountability? What happens then? Trust is lost. Yeah, Mary, absolutely. Some low self-esteem could happen. Frustration, failure. Absolutely, Tamika. Yeah, we do not succeed if we are not accountable. We might blame others, right? Things can slip through the cracks. There's so many things that can go wrong when we don't have accountability. So let me just ask this. Has anybody ever had what is called an accountability partner? That would be somebody who you have a plan, and it's a very structured thing where I will be there for you or you will be there for me to make sure we reach our goals. Okay, Clarissa, yeah, your husband, excellent. That's good. That's a good partner, right? Your best friend and your mother, excellent, Jasmine. Um, your besties, good. It's your boss, cool. Well, that's good. Your bosses, that's kind of their job, I guess, to be your accountability partner, right? So yeah, not everybody has had a formal accountability partner. I would like to say the pros of an accountability partner, it is somebody that keeps you honest. The kind of the con of it is you're responsible for somebody else. And being responsible for somebody else is a lot of pressure. So I'm going to teach you today how to be your own accountability partner. And that's not to say you should not have accountability partners outside of yourself, like your boss, your husband, your best friend, your mom, your whoever you have. You should keep those accountability partners. But I'm going to teach you a method that will help you rely less on somebody else and more on yourself. I do want to emphasize we should not just rely on ourselves. So I'm here to teach you a method, a strategy that will help you with accountability, but that does not replace having other people help you as well. It just maybe take a little pressure off some other folks because sometimes we might feel that pressure ourselves when somebody's really relying on us. So I want to talk about creating a self-accountability plan. First, you identify you want to change or implement. Earlier in the chat, you wrote what you wanted to do, savings or speaking up for yourself. Or for me, making sure I declutter my life. That's something I want to change or implement. Next, you determine what success looks like. What is the end goal or result? Now, sometimes your goals are so large that you may need to break the large thing down into smaller things. Because if your goal is to have a salary commensurate to your position, that is probably not something that can be done in a very short amount of time, right? So we need to have a large goal break into smaller goals. So depending on what your goal is, you want a reasonable goal, something that you can get to, and maybe those reasonable goals build up to that larger goal. Determine your stops along the journey. I call those, your benchmarks. If you're on a road trip, for example, you go, well, I'm going to stop at this town and have lunch. I'm going to stop here and get a hotel for the night. So what are your stops along the way that are going to get you to your final destination? And then create a system that will help you monitor that progress. And again, this is the road trip metaphor, right? What's my destination? What time do I need to get to my destination? That's what success looks like. Again, those stops along the way, and then some kind of a system, like what am I going to do? Am I going to check in to make sure I am keeping track? Now, chances are you've already knew this. I hopefully, you know, a lot of you have already heard of this process. This is not rocket science here. This has probably been written into a million books. So what's going to separate this system from other systems you may have heard about is what I call the note to self technique. So the first thing is an internal monologue. So many of us have this internal monologue. We're always talking to ourselves and our brains. I did find out as I was researching for this presentation that not everybody has an internal monologue. Some people don't have internal conversations with themselves, but the majority of us do. And so if you're out there going, what do you mean internal monologue? So it's just like the voice in our head that's kind of talking to us like, oh gosh, I really gotta do this. I gotta do this. I gotta do this. And you're not saying it out loud. It's just inside your head. Sometimes I do verbalize it though. If I'm on a run, running is my time to think, then I'll be like, oh, I really got to think about this. Those who don't, you can develop one through deliberate practice, meaning you can, through kind of a meditative state, start having an internal conversation with yourself. So that is something you can work on. And again, this is called intrapersonal communication because you're talking to yourself. I know we've always heard the joke of, oh, that person talks to themselves. And it's actually pretty common, right? It's just we don't often verbalize it. So I do have some methods for this. The first method is written through emails or written notes. I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to pause my screen here for a moment and check my email. I apologize. But I think I should have received an email, but I didn't. So I'm going to come back to this because I think, where did that email go? Huh. Okay, I'm going to come back to it. I might have sent it to the wrong time. Um, so what I'm doing here, I'll come back to unpausing this, resume. So what I did is I wrote myself an email yesterday as I was preparing for today, as I was putting the finishing touches on this. And I was hoping to show you that email, but I'll talk about it in a moment. The second is spoken through voice memos or recordings. So recording yourself either on your phone or on your computer, something that allows you to listen back to it later. Uh, you should always do this in second person. So the email I wrote to myself yesterday, and I must have said it for the wrong. So what I did is I sent it for a future sent, and I think I sent it for the wrong time or maybe the wrong day. Is you're writing to yourself as if you were somebody else. So my email that I sent yesterday, and I'm trying to recall exactly what I wrote, is it was something along the lines of. I'm gonna check to see again if it's here. It's not. Something along the lines of oh gosh, it just showed up at 10:05. Oh my gosh, this is so perfect. This is crazy. Okay. Now I can enlarge this and show it to you. Here we go. Okay. Here we go. I think okay. Can you see this email?
No,
What do you see, I wonder? Oh, it's pause. Here. Oh, you know why? Because it's wanting to because it's Zoom. Zoom is forwarding me right now. Okay.
there's a share button at the bottom of your window.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm just
Um,
gonna. It's for whatever reason it wants to only share my PowerPoint and not my. It wants to not share anything but my PowerPoint right now. So let me see if I can figure out. See, I'm used to WebEx. On WebEx, I can do this. My Zoom, I'm less familiar with. So I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to try to do it this way. Share. Aha, there we go. Here we go. Now you can see this, right?
yes,
See this email?
yes, we can see your email.
Excellent. All right. Here's what it is. It says, Dear Patrick, you've had quite a busy week moving all of your stuff, closing the sale on your house, and now preparing for this presentation. I know you feel overwhelmed, but I also know you got this. You are a rock star and you will do amazing. Just keep going, my friend. I love you, pal. Patrick. I know that seems maybe silly to do. And it is. I'm not gonna lie. It's a little silly. But it is an encouragement that is coming from the person who loves you the most. And hopefully you are the person who loves you the most. I really hope you all have really solid self-esteem and you are able to say that about yourself. So I encourage you to do these in the second person. Show yourself some self-empathy. Remember that the keynote talked about E for empathy. Empathy starts at home. We need to be able to have empathy for ourselves first and foremost, I believe, and we need to really emphasize that. Um, so I would love for you to do this right now. Take a moment. You can either get out your phone or on your computer, start an email, address it to yourself, and choose one of the following. And don't send this, by the way, just write it. Congratulate yourself on something you did well. Give yourself a pep talk to prepare for something hard you're about to do. And compliment yourself on a recent win you experienced. Okay, so you're going to sign off with a note of affection, like I love you. So you're going to say I love you to yourself, which sounds weird, but it's very important. And then write love, love, and then sign your name. So it'll be like, again, coming back to mine is still here. Where's my um you've had quite a busy week, you're rocking it. Like just use that kind of as a model for what you would write to yourself. You can, again, this can be on your phone, this can be on your it can be on your computer. Just open up your email program. Don't send it yet though. I just want you to write it. I'm gonna play again a little music. Hopefully the music will come through so that you can have some music to do this by. I have no idea if the music will come through, but we're gonna try it. Let's see if I can move this out a little bit. Hopefully you got most of that done. By the way, was anybody able to hear that music I was playing? I'm testing with my audio. I cannot figure out how to get my audio to come through. I'm gonna have to work
I
on it
did not
before
hear any music if you are playing it.
Yeah, no, and I was playing around with the audio settings on here to try to get it to play. And that's very disappointing. It was a very rousing song. It was really nice, y'all. I trust me, it was great. It was really good. Um, It's so strange. Okay. Anyway, now what you're going to do is you're going to schedule the email to get delivered in 1 week. Now, if you don't know how to do that, I will show you here on at least on Outlook how to do it. This also works on Gmail. It works on your phone email. Whatever you're doing, it works. So let me just pull up my email program here on the Outlook. Now I'm on Outlook for Mac, so it might look slightly different for you. Just give me a second to get this pulled up. I'll start a new email. I will enlarge this and I will resume. So you should be able to see this now. Good. So To do this, you just type in your own email address, good job, and then whatever your, obviously I didn't do this. Uh, Next to the send button here, there's a down arrow. Click schedule send, and then you get to choose any day you want. I'm just going to do a week from today, which is March 7th, and I'm going to send it. So March 7th at 9 a.m., I'm going to get that random email that has nothing in it. But because you all will have sent this future email to yourself, right? So it works similar like I'm on an iPhone, and if I start a new message, uh let's see, Patrick Barton, and then instead of hitting send, I hold down the send button, and I have a function where I can send later on it. So pretty much every email program has a future send option. This is also, by the way, just a really, if you're the kind of person who, like me, ignores calendar reminders sometimes because there's so many of them, if you can schedule future emails to yourself to remind yourself to do something. Because I do this all the time. I'm like, oh, I really need to remember to um, uh, do my Southwest check-in for my flight tomorrow. So I'm going to send myself an email at 1 p.m. to remind myself that. So 1 p.m. an email will pop up going, don't forget to check in for Southwest. It is a really good thing to do there. Um, by the way, going back to this question, is it possible to get a copy of the slides? Absolutely. I'm happy to send these slides out. Oh, that's a good idea, Kimberly. Thank you. On playing music so from your phones, everyone can hear it. Awesome idea. Thank you for that. Okay. I already did that. I already did that. We did this. Okay, great. Now, how much am I in time here? Good. I have about 17 minutes left. Perfect. Now, how do we add intrapersonal communication to your accountability plan? So the first thing is we want to talk about building habits. How long? This is just a guess. Guess. I have an answer. I have a scientific answer for you. But how long do you think it takes to form a new habit? Type in the chat. 8 weeks. Okay, cool. It's 21 days. 1 week, 21 days. 30 days. 6 months. 10 days. Cool. Some of you are close. Cool. So the 2009 European Journal of Social Psychology says between 18 and 254 days, although the average was actually 66 days. So just about 2 months and a change. So here is step number one. I want to put some dates into your calendar. So again, pull up your Outlook program or pull up your phone, and I want you to put 3 dates into your calendar. Friday, March 21st, Saturday, April 12th, Sunday, May 4th. Now, if your accountability thing is a work-related thing, change the Saturday and Sunday to a Friday or a Monday. So that way you're not having to do work on the weekend. But if your accountability thing is a personal thing like mine is, then the Saturday and Sunday are fine. So I'm going to do that right now. It doesn't matter what time of day. You can put it for all day, or you can put it in the morning, whatever you want to do. But I'm going to my calendar. I'm going to do the same thing. So Friday, March 21st. Let's see, accountability. Accountability check-in. I'm setting mine for 9 a.m. But y'all can do whatever you want to do. You don't have to do any particular time. This is just something you're going to do that day. March 21st, April 12th. Accountability plan. Check in. And we'll do 9 a.m. again. And Sunday, May 4th. Right. Accountability check-in. Alrighty. So mine are in there. If you're still working on it, keep going. You may be asking why those days? Well, those days are actually 22 days apart. So 22 days from today is March 21st. 22 days after that is April 12th. 22 days after that is May 4th. So altogether, that is 66 days. And by then, you should have developed whatever new habit you are going to try to take on. So step number 2 is to pick a focus. What do you want to hold yourself accountable for? And it should be something that you can do in 66 days. So again, getting salary commensurate to your position. Probably not doable in 66 days for most people if you work with a college that has any kind of bureaucratic administration, like as I'm sure we all do, right? It can be a slow process to get big changes done. But what's a smaller step along the way? Do you need to do a salary? Do you need to do a salary comparison for other colleges for your position? That is something that you could probably do in 66 days and that you could come along the way. Um, Again, I think it's easier to start with a smaller goal. For me, I'm going to my accountability plan will be, making sure that my entirely new furnished apartment is entirely like down to where I want it to be within 66 days and totally cleaned up, everything like that. Determine what that success point looks like. You're gonna keep a daily log or journal of your progress in your focus area. Uh, this doesn't have to be anything like really big. You can even just open a notes app on your phone or create a Word document where every day you just jot down what you've done for that on that day. And it's okay, by the way, some days you did nothing for it. Like if it's a work related goal, hopefully you're not doing work too much on the weekends. I know sometimes I do, but I try not to. So, but Monday through Friday, put something in that log. If it's a personal one, maybe Monday and Tuesday you don't put anything because that's your heavy work days. So maybe it's going to be Wednesday through Sunday. But at least 5 days a week, try to log something about your progress on that. Make sure you celebrate successes. Make sure you congratulate yourself. Make sure you are giving yourself that intrapersonal positive reinforcement. Also, analyze any challenges you're facing. Maybe it's that for me, I imagine that after I get home from work, I'm going to be tired and I don't want to unpack another box or I don't want to go to Goodwill and drop off some things that I don't need anymore. So I have to like, what's my challenge? What can I do? Do I need to do this? Do I need to like go into work late one day so I can do that in the morning? Do I need to talk to my boss about altering my schedule a little bit to help me get that done? And then forgive yourself for faltering. This is not gonna be easy. Habits are hard to make, just like they're hard to break. And what we're trying to do here is create a new habit of accountability. That is not easy. That is not easy at all. Um, Mary, by the way, asks in the chat, should you have a personal goal and a professional goal at the same time, or would you focus on one at a time? Uh, that's up to you and what you believe your capacity is for taking this on. What I'm asking you to do is a lot, right? Trying to do a daily log, actually setting these benchmarks for yourselves. If you already know you have the capacity to do something like this, and you're like, man, I kind of already do something like this, then for sure, maybe do 2 goals at a time, personal and professional. But if this is really new for you, if you're not used to of creating an accountability plan like this, then I would start with one simple, easy thing that you can probably do in 66 days. Again, you're going to identify benchmarks to hit along the way. What are the waypoints between now and your success point? When do you hope to hit these points? So I would recommend early on in this process. If say today's a Friday, maybe you don't want to start this unless it's a personal goal. Maybe this is a professional goal. Maybe start this on Monday. On Monday, write down like what do your benchmarks look like? What are your waypoints? Remember, where are you going to stop for gas? Where are you going to stop for lunch? Where are you going to stop to get a hotel for the night? What are those benchmarks for you? And when do you hope to get to those things? If they line up with that 22x3 system that I had you put in your calendar, that's great, but they don't have to. It may be that, you know what, I want to, first, I want to have reached out to 5 colleges in my area to find out what the person in my role at their colleges is making for a salary. And you maybe, you know what, I'm going to do that within 2 weeks. I'm going to have 5 colleges with contacts. And that's not 22 days from now, that's 2 weeks from now, but it's a waypoint for you to kind of hit. Step number 5, this is where the intrapersonal communication comes in. Encourage your future self. Send an email to your future self through Outlook or Gmail or phone email. Just send yourself that future reminder that, you know what, this is why you're doing this. This is a crucial step, this intrapersonal communication part, because the system I am pointing out, some of you may get to right away. You're like, I love this. I love this idea of a daily journal. I love this idea. By the way, the journal I want to come back to for just a moment can literally just be a sentence or two. It does not have to be like a page of writing. It could be a couple of sentences saying what you did that day so that as you move forward, you can look back on where you've been. So it doesn't have to be involved. If you want to make some longer journal entries, that's fine. I don't want this to be a chore though. I don't want this to be something where, oh, I've got to do a journal entry. No, no, no. It's just this is my system. This is my progress. So, again, encourage your future self. Maybe send yourself an email, now, today or Monday, saying, okay, you you can do this. This is going to be hard. It's going to be uncomfortable. Change is uncomfortable. Growth is uncomfortable. Literally, there's the phrase growing pains, right? Which obviously is a medical condition that refers to, the growth of bones in children, and it hurts them and it can cause people to feel discomfort. Well, growth in our personal life, growth when it comes to making big changes in our lives also is uncomfortable. And it's going to be hard. So encourage yourself by sending yourself those notes. Remind yourself why you're doing the thing you're doing. Because if you remind yourself in the future today, you're reminding yourself in the future why you're wanting to do this, then that is the most important thing. And then your 22-day check-in is your step number 6. Evaluate where you are after 22 days. Have you been hitting those benchmarks that you set for yourself? If you've mastered that focus, so maybe within 22 days, you've already gotten where you want to be. Maybe it didn't take you 66 days. So maybe layer something else in. So maybe I'm thinking, gosh, within 66 days, I really just want my apartment to look nice and neat and tidy, not cluttered. I don't want to have a closet full of stuff. That's my goal within 66 days. But let's just say, for whatever reason, spring break is coming up, I get this done in less than 22 days. So at the 22-day mark, I've accomplished this initial goal. So maybe I layer something else in. Maybe I'm like, you know what? I kind of want to decorate a little bit. I want to get some nice coverings up. I want to do some nice things with what I have here. So maybe that is something you could layer in as well, something you can add into what you're getting there if you get there fast. Now, if you're not quite where you wanted to be after 22 days, if you're behind what your benchmarks are, it's okay to make adjustments. If you're on a road trip and you hit some traffic, you hit some road construction, right? You don't all of a sudden, well, I guess I'll go home. I can't make it on time. We don't do that, right? We keep going. We find detours. We find ways to get there. We don't just give up. We keep going. So we have to find ways to keep going and to not give up. It's just a major reflection point. Remember how I said every day, at least 5 days a week, try to journal a little bit. Maybe on that 22nd day, give yourself a 30-minute time to journal where you really write down how you're feeling. You're writing down how it's going. You're writing down your hopes and your fears and your anxieties, as well as your triumphs and your accomplishments. And you really take a good 30 minutes in a quiet spot to just write and just reflect. Put on some music that you can hear, not like the music I was playing for you earlier, right? So like really get in there and do something where you really reflect on this thing that you're trying to do. I think that can be really powerful to take 30 minutes and just write and do that reflection. Um, and then after 66 days, you rinse and repeat. Are you at your success point? Did you make it? If you made it, awesome. That's something new. You find another thing to do for the next 66 days. If you did not make it, keep going. Don't stop. Maybe adjust your schedule a little bit, so that you can figure out how to get to where you want to go. And you can adapt this as needed. If you have a goal that might take more or less time than 66 days, then figure that out. I'm just giving you some arbitrary numbers. 66 days because that's the average, and 22 days because that's 66 divided by 3. That I like numbers. So that's why I did this. This is not magic. This is just something you can try, right? Apply the 66 days to this system of self-accountability for yourself. So in conclusion, we talked about the importance of planning for accountability, utilizing intrapersonal communication to become your own accountability partner, and how to set up that accountability plan. So let me give you a little background on that race I was doing. This is, by the way, the Brazos Bend 50-mile races, which is right outside of here in Houston. It's a 50-mile trail race. And what I had done the day before is I'd written myself a bunch of notes, little tiny like handwritten notes. And my goal was to read those notes when I got really tired, when I got really down on myself, when I got really frustrated. And I refused to read those notes Around mile 40, 42, 43, I was ready to give up. I'm like, oh, I hate this. I hate running. I'll never do this again. And then what I did instead is I gave them to my friend Chanel. And Chanel was the person who was recording me. And I said, could you read these to me? And she read them to me. And they were silly notes like, Patrick, this is really hard, but you got this. I believe in you. You can do this. It was really, it was just so, I started crying. I literally started crying. This is around mile 46, 47. I have 3 more miles to go. But after she read those notes, remember how I was run walking basically. I started running fast. I physically had it in me. I was able to run, but my brain had overcome me and I started running fast. And Chanel now had to start running too because I was running fast. And so this is the end result for me. So this is me coming in. I'm still not running super fast, but I did make it. That was my 50 miles. And you can see I'm even a little happy at the end there. So I hope you'll take something from that self-talk, writing notes to myself, even if somebody else was reading them to me, was really powerful. Finally here, I have a choice management series. If you would like me to talk to your campus, I'm happy to talk virtually to your campus. If you're willing to fly me somewhere, I'm happy to travel to you if you're out of state or if you're out of town. These are my other workshops that I do. I love talking to people and I don't charge anything unless you want to pay me travel like to get to where you are. So I do not charge anything. If you want me to do this, I'm happy to talk to you. I've talked to campuses all over Texas and elsewhere. So I'm happy to have that conversation. You can email me at that email address, which I'll also put in the chat. I also just want to do a word of gratitude here. I'm a faculty member, and I believe most of you in here are not faculty members. You are administrative professionals. And because of that, people like me, the faculty members, have a job. I would not have a job if it was not for you, making sure our students get registered, making sure our facilities are well taken care of, making sure that we have financial aid. Thank you for what you do because I could not do my job without you. And I am so appreciative for that. I do have, I believe, about a minute and a half if anybody has questions, comments, or thoughts. Otherwise, we will let you go to your next session. And I do appreciate and I have so much gratitude for for you being here today. Thank you so much for this. Anybody have anything they wanted to ask about or anything? Yeah, thank you, Kimberly. I really do appreciate you. You don't get thanked enough, especially by faculty. And it's not because we're bad people. It's just because we're not good at thanking people sometimes. I will admit it.
Hi,
Thank you,
Patrick.
Patrick.
If you don't mind, could you put your email in the chat really quickly?
I did, but I'll
Oh,
put
you
it
did?
again.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
I didn't see it. I'm like, oh,
it probably got swallowed up. Oh, you know what? I just sent it to one person. Never mind.
oh.
I sent it to Isabel.
Also, I loved your breakout session. It was very, very
Thank you.
helpful. Of
Thank you, Jasmine. I appreciate that.
course.
And my email is
I,
now in the chat if anybody wants to capture that, and I will be happy to do a session for any of y'all about this or any other topic.
I
Yeah.
wanted to just say thank you too because I've been dealing with pain after a knee replacement surgery, and that's been really mentally challenging for me. So relating to the physical and I was a Weight Watcher coach for a long time, so it was really easy to motivate other people, but motivating yourself with that same enthusiasm is I found so much harder.
Yeah.
And I'm going back to school too to get my degree really late in life. So it's like the mindset of you thinking you're too old, you can't do it, it's been too long. It's so easy to go down that path. So I really appreciated this talk. And I'm not, yeah, sending yourself emails to be like, yay, that I love inspiring other people, but why is it so hard to inspire ourselves, you know?
It's hard, but if you do it, it's an amazing experience. Well, I know
It
you
is.
guys got to go to your
Thank
next
you.
session, and I don't want to keep you late for your next one. So thank you all so much. Reach
Thank
out
you.
and otherwise have an awesome rest of your day at HeapCon. This is an amazing opportunity for you all.